Hello, this is the Hall Institute of Public Policy, and our forum today features, for the second part of our discussion, Dunstan McNichol, who is the Star Ledger's expert on pensions. We spent the first episode that we had here discussing the whole question of pensions and the kind of historical travels that bring us to where we are now. And I want to discuss today, where are we going and what should we do about it? Dusty, thanks for coming back.
My pleasure.
Appreciate that. Appreciate having you. Appreciate having the expertise of one of the prime reporters in the state of New Jersey. So we're delighted for you to be with us. You've been a reporter for almost 30 years.
Yep.
That's a long time in a man's life.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And you've been in a variety of newspapers. And one of the things that bothers a person like me who loves newspapers is what's going on with newspapers? Why are they folding up? Or even the good ones, like the New York Times, are a little less good than they were yesterday morning.
Yeah.
What's happening?
I think the economies are working against the way newspapers are produced and delivered, that it's very expensive to put a newspaper on the paper. It's very expensive to drive that paper around your coverage area. It's very expensive to pay for the people that are handling the newspaper, and it's hard to compete against an electronic delivery system that was allowed to capture the product that was within the newspaper, the reporting, and deliver that pretty much free of charge. They didn't pay to produce the product. They don't pay very much to distribute the product. And it was something that made the newspaper model unsustainable. It's, you see now with the economy in the bad shape that it's in now, and consolidations among all the big department stores and airlines, there are fewer advertisers out there. There's very few people who are advertising. You get a circuit city declaring bankruptcy, and that's a chunk of advertising revenue. Just from the Star Ledger, my own company, they used to make, 5 years ago, they made $72 million a year from employment ads in the classified section.
Right.
And now they make $5 million a year. That's a big chunk of revenue that
everybody's
disappeared.
Going on Monster.
Yes. Yep. Or Craigslist and various things.
But I don't want an electronic newspaper.
Well,
I mean, I get the Washington Post that way. I look at it. I like the Washington Post.
Yeah.
But I really look forward to sitting down with the New York Times at night. I want to see the paper in my hand.
It's a different experience. I'm told that the generation coming up doesn't want to have a paper in their hand. They're just as happy to have it in the palm of their hand and read their news in a cell phone or on a BlackBerry or
there's no
on
depth
a computer.
To it.
I think there will become they'll arrive a model that provides depth.
One of the most interesting stories has been the one that you've provided, which has been in depth in the Star Ledger about the pension problem.
I'm optimistic.
You did a very good story and on something that was terribly controversial, and I wanted to ask you about it, the BlackRock story.
Oh, right.
You, I guess, were probably the primary person that reported on the BlackRock controversy before the Investment Council.
Uh-huh.
Can you take us through that a little bit through your eyes?
Sure, and I can give you an update on that. The BlackRock, when the state found that
explain
the
what
stock
BlackRock
market
is to explain what BlackRock is.
That BlackRock is one of many hedge funds that the state has decided to place money with in the hopes that they can keep some money out of the stock market. Essentially, their ultimate, in the back of their mind, hope is that the hedge funds will magically make more money than the stock market. But their more realistic hope is that they're going to protect some of their money from a collapse in the stock market by having some of it in these alternatives, which include hedge funds. Unfortunately, the hedge funds appear to have gotten carried away the same way that a lot of the large banks did and the investment houses, and In the case of BlackRock, the state had invested, I believe, $300 million from the pension fund last September, and in a fund that was supposed to buy up bank loans, that short-term loans banks had made to finance takeover projects by various acquisition companies. These loans apparently were selling at the then bargain rate of 90 cents on the dollar, and BlackRock thought that they could buy them up at 90 cents, and several years from now they'd be worth their full value and they'd make lots of money. Unfortunately, the credit crisis got worse, not better. By about a month and a half ago, those loans were only trading at 70 cents on the dollar, and BlackRock had borrowed $1 for every, or $2 for every dollar that they actually had to buy these instruments. And some of those loans were coming, the people on the other side of those loans said, you need to have more value behind it. You need cash to guarantee that you're going to pay us sometime. And so BlackRock had to go back to the original investors, including the state of New Jersey, and said, we need everybody to put another 1/3 in so that we can avoid having to sell off some of these things at a loss to raise the cash that our creditors are demanding. The state went ahead and did that. Then in the November investment council meeting, 2 more hedge funds who were engaged in the same kind of business came before the investment council. And,
Which were those?
one is called Canyon Rock, I believe, and I can't remember the other one offhand, but it was the exact same mechanism. They were in the same bind. That market didn't play out.
So what they're doing is they're saying we initially thought we could buy more on the margin,
and it would all gain in value.
It would all gain, and it didn't.
And now the people on the other end of those margins are saying you need more collateral.
We want to see the cash.
Yeah.
Let's break for a minute. We'll come back and pick this up.
Okay.